Hey, this is Will Knight Podcast, All About Nothing, and we are back with another podcast. And we are here with the author of Loud and Clear, Brian Anderson. So tell me, Brian, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. So tell me about your book.
Well, the book is about the Grateful Dead
Okay.
and the gigantic sound system that the band built over the course of years in the late 60s and early 70s. And this giant sound system is now known as the Wall of Sound.
Yeah.
And this is different than if you've heard of Phil Spector, the producer. The Ronettes, think of like Be My Baby, that song. His production technique is also known as the Wall of Sound, but this is a physical, gigantic sound system. So this is a different thing. And this is the inside story of how it all came together.
Yeah.
And of course, it's a story about the Grateful Dead, this massive force in the culture still to this day. But it's really a story about obsession and this like ragtag group of individuals who kind of came from like all walks of life to come together and build this thing for the band. And it was a very groundbreaking piece of technology that kind of set the blueprint for the way we experience live music today.
So, you know what's interesting? Grateful Dead is the first band I ever listened to and went to see.
Wow.
And I noticed something in your book that I did not know. 28,000 watts.
Yeah.
600 speakers.
Yeah.
48 amplifiers. And 10 band members.
Yeah.
One wall of sound.
Yeah, it was gigantic. And sort of the meat of the book covers the first grand 10-year era of that band.
Yeah.
So the Dead in their proper form, they ran for 30 years from 1965 to 1995, excuse me.
Yeah.
But this book covers like the first 10 years of that band, so 1965 through the end of 1974. And that's kind of all the time that they needed to like scale up to this giant sound system. So a lot of people, when they hear Grateful Dead, if you stop like a random person on the street and you ask them like, have you heard of the Grateful Dead and what do you know about them? You might get someone who's like a hardcore Deadhead, but usually they're going to be like, oh yeah, what's the one song, Touch of Grey, which was like their one top 40 hit.
Yeah.
You know, they were never like a radio band or like a studio band. So this book is like 20 years before the MTV success of like the Grateful Dead. So this was kind of like very formative days. But yeah, it covers 65 to 74. That's kind of the meat of the book.
Yeah.
But it sort of begins and ends in present day, kind of with me. So, I kind of have like a personal narrative, a personal through line through the book as well. But yeah, to your point, the sound system itself was gigantic. And it didn't drop out of the clear blue sky one day. They were building up to this over a number of years. But like in its full like peak form, there were over 600 speakers, 48 heavy duty amplifiers. It could push 28,000 watts. You could hear it crystal clear like at an outdoor show.
Yeah. And that's exactly where I was. I was in an outdoor show.
At an outdoor show. You could be a quarter of a mile away, and you could hear it perfectly, crystal clear, like with no wind degradation. And then even further away, but like then the wind kind of starts to play tricks on the noise. But yeah, like the title of the book itself, Loud and Clear, that was sort of what the band was questing after in terms of like the sound that they wanted to achieve. From the very early days, when like the state of the art in terms of equipment that any band could play through in the mid 60s was like pre-war technology, and that just wasn't going to cut it for them. If you'd go see a band in a bar in 1965, it was just like the sound was terrible.
Right.
Like it was just like it was distorted. There was no such thing as like a musical PA or like public address system.
Yeah.
So the Dead built one from scratch to deliver the best experience to their audience, because the audience was always such a part of the Grateful Dead experience.
Yeah, that's true. It is.
Yeah,
it is
for sure. So I'm rambling, man, but
That's
like,
okay.
yeah.
This is all good.
Cool.
So tell me, I heard, this is hearsay, a rumor, that you have a keyboard or something. How did you get started?
So I have a piece of the Wall of Sound.
Okay.
And it's one of these hundreds of speaker boxes. And
Okay.
there's a bunch of photos in the book. I had a lot of fun putting together the photo section.
Yeah.
But yeah, I own a speaker cabinet that was in the Wall of Sound, and I acquired it in 2021 through a Sotheby's auction. So Sotheby's, like the high-end auction house,
Yeah.
partnered with Grateful Dead Productions to auction off, I think, 150 lots. So like old gear and equipment,
Yeah.
and just like all sorts of ephemera from the Grateful Dead warehouse in Northern California.
Wow.
So I ended up acquiring this gigantic speaker cabinet that it sits in my office, like it sits behind me, yeah. And long story short, as I get into in the book, like I had a hunch that this thing was part of the Wall of Sound,
Yeah.
and my hunch was sort of confirmed. But yeah, acquiring this speaker cabinet that was part of the wall, it really provided me like a window to tell this much bigger story
Okay.
about obsession and titanic human achievement. And that's one thing that I knew going into working on the book, is that there are so many books that have been written about the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, they have
dozens
been.
of books. And there's like a ton of Grateful Dead scholarship out there, which is amazing.
See,
And
I didn't know that.
yeah, and I think that like really speaks to like the enduring legacy
Yeah.
of this band. But I knew that I didn't want to write just another Grateful Dead book. So like I had to have like a unique way into
Yeah.
the story. And as a journalist, you always want to be additive and like break new ground, you know?
Right.
So acquiring this piece of the Wall of Sound, that's when it sort of clicked. I was like, oh, I have a really unique way to tell this story, kind of through the lens of this, quite frankly, like this piece of junk that I own. Like it's a busted up speaker.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's got some like vibes for sure. It's kind of like a haunted
So
object.
how did you get into writing? You said you were a journalist before.
Yeah, I'm a journalist. I don't know, man. I've always enjoyed writing my whole life. It's like the classic story of, a kid in elementary and middle school and high school, like
Right.
dreading going to math or science class. But like when I went to like English class,
Yeah.
when it was like, all right, the final is you're gonna write a paper, I'd be like, oh, thank God. Like I can do
Right,
that. Like
yeah.
I always just felt comfortable with like words and just telling stories.
And not fractions.
Exactly, not fractions. So yeah, I always loved to write, and did my undergrad at UIC here. I was an English major, and then I went to grad school up at Northwestern for
So Illinois,
journalism.
Chicago boy.
Oh yeah. No, I'm
Nice.
like born and raised in this
Okay.
area. Yeah, I did my grad work up at Northwestern. I went to the journalism school there, and then I moved to New York for 9 years, where I was an editor at Vice Media, and I wrote a whole bunch of stories there in that
Yeah.
time. Yeah, and then later on, I did a stint at The Atlantic as a science editor,
Okay.
and then at Vox, VOX, not Fox.
Clarifying that.
Just to clarify, people can mishear that and be like,
Yeah.
Fox? Yeah, then I was an editor at Vox, where I was also kind of on like the science desk,
Yeah.
editing science stories. Yeah, so I've just always loved, words and telling stories and spinning a yarn,
Yeah.
And I've always kind of been like a long form, kind of magazine style
Right.
storytelling person. And so, yeah, I feel like I've kind of been slowly working up to like tackling a book project,
Okay.
like along the way you start writing like longer and longer stories that are like more involved,
Yeah.
with more characters and such. And yeah, so I just feel like this is kind of the culmination of like so much in my life.
And
yeah.
this is where you're at now.
This is where I'm at now. Yeah, it came out in June, and so yeah, we're kind of in like the full-on promo
Okay.
press mode for the rest of the summer here,
All right.
and then probably in the fall we'll do some more like book tour dates.
So, but right now, another rumor I heard.
Yeah.
I love rumors.
Yeah. Rumors
Because I get the fact and the facts straight.
Yeah.
So
Let's fact check the rumor.
We're
here.
gonna fact check this.
Yeah.
Are you a New York Times bestseller?
Unbelievably, yes. The book had been out for a week, so it came out on June 17th. And a week after it had been out, my editor texted me. He said, "Call me," with 3 exclamation points.
And are you sitting down?
Yeah, like basically, are you sitting down? He's like, "Call me," and I'm like, "This must be good news of some sort."
Right.
And so I called him. I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And he was like, "How does it feel to be a New York Times best-selling author?" And I'm like,
"What?
Do you get like? Are you talking about like me and like this book that I wrote?" It's very surreal. I haven't really like begun to process it yet.
Yeah.
Like when you look at titles on the New York Times bestseller list, it's usually like culture war books written by Fox News talking heads.
Yeah.
Or like, the latest Civil War history book.
You're right.
Or like
right.
that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. You don't see on the nonfiction list, you don't see like a non-memoir music book of this type, like fully reported, like a work of journalism. It just like doesn't happen. And I'm like, how did I
And your
I
name.
do this?
And your
yeah.
name.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like I just kind of like Trojan horsed
Yeah.
this thing onto this like gigantic list, and I still can't really wrap my head around like the scale of it.
So tell me,
but
were you
it's
sitting
cool.
down? I mean, what were you doing at the time that
I was
he
standing
called
up, but I was like, I was like hooting and hollering, like just like doing, just like dancing around my apartment. It was awesome. Yeah, like, and like, getting like, awards and like getting on lists. It's
Yeah.
like you can't like, that's not what it's all about.
Right.
But yeah, when he called
But
me,
it's your work, though.
Yeah, totally.
It's a credit to your work.
Yeah, it was
that
very validating.
You've written and published a great book.
Yeah, for sure. It was very validating, and it felt more like a win for like the community, like
Yeah.
all of the people who are kind of into this sort of thing. It didn't really feel so much like a personal win. I was like,
Yeah.
hey, like we all did this. Like Paul, the owner of the record store, who like read an early version of the draft. It was like, it took like all of us. This
Yeah.
is like a win for everybody.
And you were working at Rattleback Records at the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I took like kind of I went away for a couple years, like when the pandemic hit, and
Yeah.
I did the Atlantic and the Vox stuff. But early 2024, when I was like maybe 75% of the way through writing the book,
Yeah.
starting to get just like a little stir crazy,
Yeah.
like in the winter hours, just like writing every single day. So I popped back into Rattleback and would do like, two shifts a week.
Yeah.
And that was great because I could like kind of get outside of my head, do something a little bit different, but still very much like adjacent to the
Yeah.
book. Like it's working at a record store. It's like talking about music with people, and inevitably people would come up and I'd be like, ringing up their records, and I'd see they would have like a Grateful Dead record, and I'd be like, hey, here's a little tip. Like I'm writing a book on this thing right now. It's going to be
Yeah.
out next year, So it was great just to come here and be able to kind of like bounce ideas off of
Yeah.
people and just almost start spreading the word of mouth kind of organically here.
Yeah. Well, it's
It was
also
great.
the music community is very niche as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get a lot of people who've been to 25 of their concerts, or I remember I had a friend who literally traveled a year wherever the
yeah.
concert they played, that's where he went.
Oh yeah, yeah. You get like all sorts of folks, and you also meet people who have no interest or familiarity
Yeah.
in the Grateful Dead, and like that's cool. And it was kind of those people who I also wanted to reach with the
Yeah.
book. Like, I didn't want to just pander to Deadheads,
Right.
I think there's like crossover appeal with the book to hit people who have maybe never like made the attempt to like find their way into Dead World.
Yeah.
But for whom I know there's so much in the book that they can like really sink their teeth into.
Yeah.
Like if you're just a fan of music, if you're a fan of
Oh,
live
exactly,
music,
right,
if you're a
right.
fan of like,
Yeah.
this is also kind of like a cultural history of
Yeah.
like that moment in time. So I think there's like a little bit for everyone. And this book, it definitely isn't like me making an argument for like, this is why you should like the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
And if you don't, there's something wrong with you.
But
like,
this is why you should like my book.
this is why you should like my book. Yeah. But like, but no, the book is just sort of a way to like illuminate kind of how like ahead of their time and groundbreaking the Dead were. And there's, you know, they kind of created like the world that we're living in today in terms of like how we experience live music or even how we like consume media. It kind of all roads kind of go back to the Dead.
So the pandemic.
Yeah.
You wrote this before the pandemic, or?
No, I had been sort of laying groundwork on this book for, honestly, kind of my whole life. I feel like.
Ever since you went to Sotheby's auction house, you're like, I want that.
That's kind of what like kicked the Sotheby's auction. Acquiring that piece really kicked the project into high gear. But no, I had been laying groundwork on this thing for years leading up to that point.
Okay.
And by groundwork, I mean just like building kind of like a master timeline of events that kind of form like the bulk of the book that I was mentioning. So when I got the book deal and it came time to actually sit down and write the book, I had probably like 150 pages already, just of like raw timeline and like, you know, pull quotes from interviews that I'd done with people, like little bits from like books that I'd be reading about the Dead. Like I kind of put it into this master chronology, so I had so much to work with when it came time to like start writing. But you still have to like write the book, so it's a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
But
you have 150 pages, but all those 150 pages may not make it into the book.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you have to add.
You got to add stuff. You have to take stuff away. It's like this
Right.
very fine balance. But yeah, I mean, I'd been laying groundwork for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, my very first concert and my earliest flashes of memory are seeing the Grateful Dead in 1988 and 1989 when I was a toddler.
So right, because you didn't buy the tickets on your own.
Exactly. Yeah, my parents.
So
bought
you're
me.
right.
Yeah,
So tell me about them.
So my parents, you'll meet them in the book. They're characters. Yeah. Long story short.
Do they know they're in the book?
Oh yeah. They got to read the early version. I interviewed both of them for the book.
Okay.
But yeah, long story short, both of my parents kind of orbited the band and each other, beginning in the late '60s, early '70s.
Yeah.
Before they knew each other, and my mom knew a rock and roll promoter in town, so she would work Grateful Dead shows.
Yeah.
And my dad would be going to those same shows. And then in the '80s, my dad got hooked up with the Grateful Dead's Midwest local crew, so he was a stagehand.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the '80s, they would bring my sister and I as toddlers up to see the Grateful Dead.
So I got one question for you.
Yeah.
Is your sister in the book?
She's in the book too. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you still like a relationship with your sister,
Totally.
right?
Yeah. You can see it's you can see the book is dedicated to them, to my parents and my sister. So they're all in there. It's a whole family affair.
So you're like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. No, they're all in it, and they
Nice.
all love it. So yeah, it's just I feel like I've been just building up to this kind of my whole life. You know?
So when I was looking through the book, I saw some photos. I love a book with photos.
Yeah, I wanted to be sure there
It
was a lot.
kind of keeps your interest going.
Yeah.
So a
a
couple
nice
of these
break.
photos are absolutely brilliant. The stadium,
Yeah.
where it's just packed.
Yeah, I wanted to give like a photo showing like the scale of, you can see the teeny tiny wall of sound back here.
Yeah.
But look at this gigantic stadium. This is a show in June of 1974.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to get a photo like that to show like the area of coverage that the sound was covering. You know?
And also the stage setup too it's compared to the size of the crowd, it's huge.
It's huge, yeah. I
And the stage looks so small, but it's like you said in the beginning of the book, it's 28,000 watts. Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah, it was gigantic, and there had been nothing like this at the time, so it was very groundbreaking. The scale of it is just immense, so I wanted to show that in the photos for sure.
Well, we're going to wrap this up.
Cool.
So I got a few more questions.
Yeah. What do you
Since
got?
you mentioned when's your next book coming out?
Oh, I don't know. It's so funny. People right now, they'll ask like, "So what's next?" And I'm like,
right. You don't
I don't
know, right?
Yeah. I'm just if I learned one thing with this book is like you can't force it.
Yeah.
It
it has to
just
come on
kinda
its
has to
own.
come to you. Yeah. So We'll see. Stay tuned. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a paperback in like a year. Will come
Okay.
out, the paperback version. So
Yeah.
maybe there'll be some expanded goodies in there.
And what about an audio version?
There's
Because
an
a lot of people
yeah.
take flights.
There's an audio version, and I did all the voiceover for it. So
Really good.
It's
Okay.
me talking at you for 16 hours.
All right. All right. I'm going to listen to it when I'm going to play for 16 hours.
Cool, man. Yeah.
Going out of the country somewhere.
Awesome.
So, what's the title of your book?
It's called Loud and Clear. The subtitle is The Grateful Dead's Wall of Sound and the Quest for Audio Perfection.
And the #1 bestseller.
It wasn't a number
Oh,
one. It
okay.
made the top. Oh man, I wish. Yeah. No. It made. It was in the.
Well,
top,
you're my number one.
I'm your number one.
Yes.
That's even better. Yeah.
New York Times bestseller, Brian Anderson.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. So, Brian, I got one question
Yeah.
for you.
Cool.
What's a piece of advice that your mother, father, or sister gave you that you want to pass along?
Ooh, attraction rather than promotion.
There you go.
That's the advice.
All right.
Yeah. If you're into something,
Yeah.
don't force it on someone. Just show them what you like about it and kind of let them come to it when they're ready for it.
Brian, thank you very much,
Yeah,
man.
thanks,
It's
man.
nice talking
This
to
is
you.
cool, for
All
sure.
right.
Cool.
And this is Will Knight, and this is All About Nothing, and we'll see you guys next week.